Something is rising from the deep, and we don't know why. Over the past few weeks, coastlines around the world have been receiving visitors, not the kind you expect. Mexico. An oarfish appears in the surf. Silver body, 12 feet long. A creature that spends its entire life in total darkness, 1,000 meters below the surface, suddenly writhing in the shallows. Alive, gasping, like it dragged itself up from another dimension. The Netherlands. Dozens of giant squid, scattered across the beach like they fell from the sky. More than 20 in a single season, more than has ever been recorded in this location before. California. A whale. Enormous. Silent. Washed ashore with no visible injuries. No obvious cause. Just done. 3 locations. Different oceans. Different species. Different depths. Same ending. They all came up. And here is where this stops being a news story and starts being something else entirely. Let's start with the oarfish, because sailors have known about this creature for centuries, and every time it appeared, they did the same thing. They prayed. They called it the doomsday fish. Not because it attacked ships, not because it poisoned the water, but because whenever it surfaced, disaster followed. Earthquakes, tsunamis, catastrophes rising without warning from beneath the sea. For generations, scientists dismissed this as superstition, fear of isolated men in dark water. But here's what those scientists couldn't explain away. The oarfish doesn't just live in deep water. It lives along tectonic fault lines, the cracks in the Earth's crust, the boundaries where pressure builds, where the planet shifts, where the ground below the ocean floor moves without warning. Some researchers now believe these fish may be sensitive to things we cannot detect. Pressure changes, electromagnetic shifts, chemical signals released by rock under stress. In other words, the oarfish might not be a myth. It might be a sensor. And right now, it's going off. But let's not stop there, because something else was just discovered. Something that changes the entire picture. Scientists sent a remotely operated vehicle down to the East Pacific Rise, a volcanic ridge at the bottom of the Pacific, 2,500 meters below the surface. Their mission was routine: collect rock samples, look for larvae. What they found instead left them, in their own words, stunned. Beneath the slabs of oceanic crust, they found cavities filled with hydrothermal fluid, and inside those cavities, entire communities of animals that had no business existing there. Futura Sciences snails, mussels, and giant tube worms, 3 meters long, living under the ocean floor itself, not on the seafloor, below it. Scientists now believe the seafloor, the ocean above it, and this hidden subsurface layer are all deeply interconnected, a layered biosphere we are only beginning to understand. Futura Sciences. We thought we knew where life ended. We were wrong. And that raises a question no one is ready to answer. If there is an entire ecosystem living beneath the ocean floor, one we just discovered, what else is down there that we don't know about? And what happens when it's disturbed? Now back to the squid, because they make this harder to dismiss. Giant squid don't wash up on beaches. They live in absolute darkness. In water so cold, it stops a human heart in minutes. At pressures that would collapse your lungs before you could scream. They are perfectly built for the abyss. They can take on sharks if they want to, and defeat them. But they are terrible at surviving anywhere else. So when 20 of them appear on a Dutch coastline, not dead and decomposing, pulled in by the tide, but fresh, newly stranded, all within weeks. What does that tell us? It tells us they left. Voluntarily or in panic, they moved, upward, shoreward, away from an environment they were perfectly designed to live in. So ask yourself the only question that matters here. What was down there that was worse than dying on a beach? Scientists offer the usual explanations: warming oceans, shifting currents, disrupted food chains pulling species into unfamiliar territory. And those explanations aren't wrong. But warming is slow, gradual. Animals adapt, migrate, adjust over generations. What we're seeing is not adaptation. These animals aren't relocating. They're fleeing. There's a word marine biologists use when deep-sea creatures suddenly abandon their depth and push toward the surface. They call it a stress response. The environment has become intolerable. Something changed. In the pressure, in the water chemistry, in the signals moving through the deep, and the animal's nervous system fires one command: get out. Up is the only direction available. So the question becomes, what changed down there? Here's where this story goes. Somewhere genuinely dark. The deep ocean is the least explored environment on Earth. Not slightly unexplored. Profoundly, almost completely unexplored. We have better maps of the surface of Mars than we do of our own ocean floor, which means we would not necessarily know if something changed in the deep. We have no early warning systems for the abyss, no sensors blanketing the ocean trenches, no cameras watching the fault lines. And now we know there is an entire hidden biosphere below the seafloor, full of life, built around hydrothermal vents and connected to volcanic activity and tectonic pressure, and that we only just found. Researchers describe this as a previously unknown biomass layer, largely unexplored, connected to the surface through hydrothermal fluids. Futura Sciences. A layer connected to the surface, through the same systems, the same pressure, the same fluid pathways that the oarfish lives beside, that the squid fled from, that the whale died above. If something is disturbing that hidden layer, we would not see it coming, until the things living near it started coming up. In Japan, oarfish strandings have been documented before major seismic events going back decades. Before the 2011 Tohoku earthquake, one of the most powerful ever recorded, oarfish appeared on beaches for months in advance. Coincidence, say the scientists. Maybe. But in the past few weeks, oarfish have appeared in Mexico, squid in the Netherlands, a whale in California, and beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, a secret world of giant worms and hidden ecosystems built around the exact fault lines where tectonic pressure builds. All of it. At the same time. Is that still coincidence? Or is it the sound of something shifting far below us that we do not yet have instruments to hear? Here's what we know. Something is disturbing the deep. The oarfish returned. The squid abandoned the abyss. The whale went silent. And beneath the seafloor itself, in cavities we did not know existed, an entire hidden world is connected to everything above it. We do not know what is changing down there. We do not have the tools to see it clearly. And the only warning system we have is the bodies washing up on our shores. Whatever is happening below, it is not finished yet.